Defend yourself against DDoS attacks by hiding your true IP address with ExpressVPN, and visit my custom link expressvpn.com/ghilliemaster in the description to find out how you can get an extra 3 months free. We've talked about the Acid Lab truck itself, the various vehicles in the update, the weapons. I think it's about time we now discuss the actual business aspect of it. I know some of you will say I'm pretty late in covering the business, but I really just wanted to give myself some time to use it for a couple of weeks to get a good feel of how it flows in the natural grind of the game and if it has any staying power as a long-term business. And after my few weeks of playing with it, I can confidently say that the Acid Lab is one of the best passive businesses in the entire game. I would even venture to say by a good margin too. And I'm going to show you why that is. Now, I already discussed how to get the business up and running in my very first video on the update, but as a quick summary, you just need to complete the main story missions of the update, first dose, and then you must do the 3 supply missions around the map, and that lets you install the Acid Lab. However, I would highly suggest you do not touch this business until you have the equipment upgrade for it, because there is a very big difference in the profits and time it takes to produce said profits between having the upgrade and not having it. The information here that I'm about to reference comes from TezFunds2. As always, I will have a link to his Twitter down in the description. In this chart here, I've included the most important data that you need to know about this business, comparing it with and without the equipment upgrade. Right off the bat, that equipment upgrade is going to increase the value of your stock from a max payout of $237,600 to $335,200. But it also decreases the amount of time it's going to take you to max out your stock value from 6 hours to 4 hours. And that's including the boosted time. And if you don't know what the boosted time means, inside the Acid Lab, once per day, you can accelerate the production speed of your acid. And how it works is it will go on to speed up the production of 80 units of supplies. So it's not a time-based thing, which means if you are maxed out on stock, for example, and you activate the boost, it's not just going to waste it. It's going to last until you go and sell the stock you have now and then start producing again up until it makes 80 units. After which it goes back to the normal speed. And to be clear, this is once per real life day, not per in-game day. It resets the same time the daily objectives reset each day. The biggest difference here is in the supplies cost, which eats very heavily into your overall profit if you do not have the upgrade. Yeah, you could run resupply missions instead, but for every single passive business in the game, the way to go about it is you buy supplies and then do other things in the meantime to get that money back instead of doing the supply runs, because the supply runs are usually more annoying and give less value to you as a player as compared to buying and running a payphone hit in the meantime, for instance. Without the upgrade, it will cost you $192,000 to buy your way for a full set of assets to sell, which means you're only going to be ahead $45,000, an absolute abhorrent amount for a business. With the upgrade, things look much better, as it only costs $96,000 to max out the stock by buying supplies, leaving you with a max profit of $239,200 from the business. And these also do not include the high demand bonuses. I'll be talking about that a little bit later. But to conclude this segment, do not partake in this business until you get that equipment upgrade. It is just not worth it to do so. The real downside of this business is the time it takes to unlock that equipment upgrade, though. You have to complete 10 of the Dax Fooligan missions that you can request by phoning him up, which are kind of a pain in the ass. Especially the Crop Duster one. If you get that one, I suggest just finding a new session and retrying, because that one takes a very long time to complete compared to the others. The missions themselves aren't really that bad, aside from the Crop Duster one, of course. It's just the wait time in between each mission is what's kind of bad. You have to wait 45 minutes, basically a whole in-game day, before you can start another one up. And there's no way to skip the cooldown as far as I know, which means at minimum, you will have a combined wait time of about 6 hours and 45 minutes in real life time, counting the 45 minutes for 9 of the missions, because there, of course, is no cooldown on the first one. You can do that one right away. And that's only the wait time, not including the time it takes you to actually do the missions themselves. So you're more so looking at like 8 or 9 hours of both waiting and gameplay time before you can even make the business worthwhile. The good news though is that once you do get that equipment upgrade, you now have the best passive business in the game, in my opinion. One of the major perks about the Acid Lab business is that you can buy supplies and check the production progress by simply calling Mutt. Just make sure to have your Acid Lab spawned in before doing so, and also be registered as a CEO or MC president, and you can buy supplies and check your progress from anywhere on the map. No having to travel to an individual business in the middle of nowhere to access a little laptop to buy supplies. No, you just buy them whenever you want, wherever you want. And you will have to do this at least twice, because you can only buy 60k of supplies at a time, and as we saw in the chart, it takes $96,000 worth of supplies to max out your stock if you do have that upgrade. So that's one huge thing the Acid Lab has that no other business has. However, it's also a completely mobile business, which means you can start your sell missions from anywhere you want on the map. If you want to start your sell mission on Mount Chiliad for some reason, you can do that. You just bring your acid lab up to Mount Chiliad. Or you can just call it in whenever you want to sell, and it'll spawn at the nearest point, and you can just start it up from there. It is super convenient. The sell missions are also entirely solo friendly. No matter how much stock you have, you will be given just your delivery bike to use. And this is the case for every sell mission. If you have multiple people in your organization when you go to sell, they will also get bikes, but the important part is doing the sales solo works out just fine. You will never have more than one vehicle if you do it solo. And none of the sell missions are that bad in my opinion either. Because of this, you are always utilizing the fast Manchester Scout C, so you don't have to worry about having to drive some slow ass vehicle across the map like a Boxville. I've only come across, I believe, 3 different sell missions so far. The one on top of the parking garage with the police setup. For this one, you don't actually have to get off your bike and stash loot in the trunk of the vehicle. If you know that this is the mission you got, just shoot at one of the cop cars or one of the cops and you'll immediately get stars. And that way you can save yourself some time by not having to get off the bike. Another sell mission has you stashing the loot in a choice of 3 different spots in about 5 or so different circles. And this one also has cops spawned in at certain places watching the undercover. And what you want to do for this one is pick the spot where the cop will not have a line of sight to you. That is how you avoid them seeing you. And my personal favorite sell mission is the one where you're throwing newspapers into the baskets. I just thought that was an interesting mechanic for a sell mission, and it works great with the way that the bikes work in the game. And because these sell missions are solo friendly, I actually recommend doing these in public sessions just to get that high demand bonus. Because if you do an acid lab sale in a lobby with at least 25 other players, that's going to be enough to earn yourself the max bonus for high demand, which is 50% more. It's 2% per player with a max cap of 50%. So instead of getting 335,200 on your sell mission, you will get 502,800, assuming you have an upgraded lab, of course. So almost an extra 200,000 just for being in a lobby with other players while doing the sell mission. Now, there is one caveat to this, and that is that it seems the sell mission bike can be locked onto by homing missiles. So if a Deluxo or any vehicle that has top tier tracking rockets is anywhere in lock-on range to you and decides to fire, you're gonna die because there's really not much you can do to defend against that, especially if they decide to spam them. They're undodgeable. The bike is somewhat armored, so it can take about 4 rockets before it completely blows up, but just the fact that a sell mission vehicle can be locked onto with missiles, I really am not a fan of. Plus, you're dead after just getting hit by 1, so armor really doesn't help that much in this situation. I do hope they change this in the future. I personally think it would be neat to have a lock-on jammer on the Manchester Scout C delivery bike as an upgrade for both the sell mission and regular play when you do call it in. That would make the bike at first to have a lock-on jammer and also just increase the viability of it so much, as well as fix the issue in the sell missions of it being able to get locked onto. It also seems like when the cargo is destroyed, even dashboarding doesn't save it. I've heard this from a few different people. I'm not sure if they didn't dashboard fast enough, or maybe Rockstar finally caught on to the method of saving the cargo by dashboarding after it gets blown up. If you dashboard when the cargo isn't destroyed, it however still keeps it at the same level you had before you started the sale, so I guess the play now is to just leave when you feel it's about to be destroyed, or if you do get attacked and killed, just leave right away. I think the best way to run the acid lab is to take advantage of the other passive income to offset the costs of the supplies for the acid business. If you have a max popularity nightclub, you will generate $50,000 per in-game day. And if you then have a maxed out agency for passive income, that's another $20,000 on top of that. Plus the 5K from the arcade, that's $75,000 every 48 minutes, which more than covers the cost of buying supplies for the acid lab at $60,000. It's a perfect combo to take advantage of. If you don't have access to that passive income, I think the best way to do it is still to just do a payphone hit every 20 minutes. Because that'll give you 85K, which again, more than covers the cost of buying one batch of supplies for the acid lab. Anyways, that is everything you need to know about how to use the acid lab to the maximum efficiency. If you have any tips of your own that I didn't mention in this video, feel free to comment them down below. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, feel free to leave a like as well as subscribe to my channel for more GTA Online content. I want to give a huge shout out to all my channel members for your support. If you'd like to become a member for some exclusive perks, you can either use the join button or the link that's down in the description. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.